Hey, you didn't copy. Mama.
Southwest Airlines lawsuit could be a new playbook for DEI litigation moving forward. For years, Southwest Airlines has run a special program to assist Hispanic college students living far from home. It's called Lanzate, or Take Off, and it gave a select number of students free flights to visit their families as they pursued their studies, or the chance for their parents to visit them in turn. What the fuck? I want free flights! Isabella, one of this year's recipients whose last name was withheld in publicity materials, said in a statement that the program would allow her to see family sooner than expected, adding, "I'm so excited to see my little cousins and how much they've grown. My grandparents, hopefully I can convince my grandma to make mole, and of course my mom, in person this time." Why do they get fucking free flights? Isabella's class of Lanzate winners will be the last, thank God. In May, the program was targeted by conservative activist Edward Blum and his American Alliance for Equal Rights, which claimed that Southwest discriminated against two of its non-Hispanic members, therefore violating two civil rights laws. Yeah, if you're gonna give free flights, give it to everyone! In an attempt to have the lawsuit dismissed, Southwest terminated the program and offered Blum's group 1 cent. The amount of damages the group claimed. But a federal judge has decided that those actions won't be enough. The case against Southwest Airlines will go forward, said U.S. District Judge Sidney Fitzwater in an opinion last week. This has the potential to create obstacles for other companies facing anti-DEI lawsuits that try to have cases thrown out by canceling or changing the terms of their DEI programs. And see, this is something that we can call a win. As long as these people who notice the changing of the terms for the DEI programs continue to bring the lawsuits after the language is changed, this is fucking winning, man. This is how you recognize a win. Attorneys say it could mean a strategy shift when it comes to the ongoing legal battle over DEI. It reflects a new playbook by one of the key players fighting DEI programs in the courts. Lauren Hertz, an attorney at Jenner & Block and co-chair of its DEI Protection Task Force, told Fortune in an email. DEI Protection Task Force, man. What the fuck? Southwest Airlines declined to comment. The Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, which had also been a partner in the programs, did not immediately respond to Fortune. Blum told Fortune in a statement that the alliance is grateful that our case against Southwest Airlines racially discriminatory programs will proceed. Sorry, my brain stopped. The group issued a separate statement to the press in response to the judge's ruling, saying that the decision is a powerful tool to prevent case-mooting tactics from discriminators nationwide. And I agree. That judge was not playing with these fucking word games, man. Based judge. The Southwest lawsuit is the latest in a wave of similar legal challenges brought against U.S. companies by the AAER. Students for Fair Admissions, a separate conservative group created by Blum, was behind the push that saw the U.S. Supreme Court overturn affirmative action in college admissions in 2023. In a high-profile example of his activism in the private sector, Blum's AAER challenged a venture capital firm in Atlanta, the Fearless Fund, which we've read about on stream. That was great. The Fearless Fund people were literally coping and seething while this was happening, for running an annual program that aimed to support startups run by Black women. In that case, the two parties came to an agreement that saw the Fearless Fund shutting down the program in question, and the case was dismissed. Now, companies that fear legal challenges from Blum or another activist over DEI efforts may not have the same option to have a case dropped by dismantling the programs at the heart of the dispute. After the court's decision, it's less clear if that off-ramp is available to companies, and it's more important that they be proactive. The AAER relied on legal technicalities to make the case, representing a departure. She also said when AAER started bringing lawsuits, it was focused on making changes to targeted DEI programs at specific organizations. And when those organizations agreed to modify their programs, AAER was generally satisfied to claim victory and move on. See? All right, this is the woman. This is the woman who is a fucking... Where is it? What's her fucking title again? What was her fucking title? Where is it? There's like some DEI protection bullshit. God, I can't find it. No, I don't want to bookmark it. Cancel. I want to control find DEI protection. Lauren Hartz, attorney at Jenner & Block, co-chair of its DEI Protection Task Force. DEI Protection Task Force. When those organizations agreed to modify their programs, AAER was generally satisfied to claim victory and move on. And that's the problem. Don't assume that them modifying the language is a victory. So hopefully, like this base judge, AAER does not take a satisfactory, oh, we'll change a little bit of things here and there. Hopefully they keep gunning at it. This lawsuit signals a new and more aggressive approach. AAER isn't just working to target and change particular programs, it wants to change the law itself. The crux of AAER's complaint against Southwest Airlines filed in a federal court in Dallas is that a program harmed 2 of its members by excluding non-Hispanic students, violating the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Sorry, I keep having like hiccup feelings. Which bars any racial discrimination in contracts. And Title IX of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which prohibits racial and other forms of discrimination in programs or businesses that receive federal funding. Lanzate winners signed contracts with the airline to participate, and Southwest accepts federal funds, leaving it open to such claims. The organization states that on a FAQ website about Lanzate, the airline's answer to the question, is this program only for Hispanic students, was yes. To be eligible, the student must identify direct or parental ties to a specific country to determine Hispanic origin. The alliance claimed in a suit that 2 college students, one white and one Asian, identified only as A and B, wrote essays to apply for the free flight program, but could not submit their applications because they could not agree to the stated terms around eligibility. Those 2 students then joined the alliance, according to the court document. Members A and B find Southwest discrimination against them deflating, disheartening, offensive, and hurtful. Southwest website links to a current description of Lanzate that says it is open to students from all ethnicities. The company made that change after the AAER launched its suit, according to court documents. Over 20 years, some 1,500 students have benefited from the competition, which awarded honorees with 4 free flights. Again, it's open to all ethnicities, but I feel like they're just probably not going to accept the wrong ethnicities, quote unquote. Canada is similar for Indigenous people. How's that modifying the law? Just enforcing anti-discrimination? Because they want to change the law to make it so that DEI initiatives are expressly illegal, like more so than what the current laws have on the books. And it's also really nice to just notice like actual wins. Not like Robbie Starbucks fake wins, but like real ones that we can see tangible responses to.
And then,
we have another win to talk about. We have another win to talk about, baby. Appeals court. I hate when I click on a website and it fucking kills the article. Appeals court scraps NASDAQ boardroom diversity rules in latest DEI setback. A federal appeals court blocked NASDAQ rules to increase boardroom diversity, saying that the Securities and Exchange Commission did not have the authority to approve them. Wednesday's ruling from the Republican-dominated 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals scraps diversity rules approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission in 2021. That's crazy that it was approved and has been on the books for multiple years. The rules required thousands of public companies that trade on NASDAQ to have at least one woman, one person of color, or LGBTQ member on their boards unless they explained why they did not. Companies also must report the diversity of their corporate directors each year. The legal challenge was brought by the National Center for Public Policy Research, a conservative think tank, and Alliance for Fair Board Recruitment, a group founded by the anti-affirmative action activist Edward Blum. The groups claimed that boardroom diversity rules violate civil rights laws and encourage racial and gender discrimination, which is true, and they do. The NASDAQ said it reviewed the court's decision and would not seek further review. We maintain that the rules simplified and standardized disclosure requirements to the benefit of both corporations and investors, it said in a statement to USA Today. Stephen Padfield, a director of the Free Enterprise Project at the National Center for Public Policy Research, said the court reached the right conclusion. The SEC was reaching beyond its statutory authority to try and engage in progressive social engineering, which is true, it was. Padfield told USA Today. The court's decision here is not only correct on the law, but also consistent with the will of the American people, who are sick and tired of seeing their government engage in divisive identity politics. Blum told USA Today his organization was pleased with the decision. Neither the SEC or NASDAQ has authority to impose board diversity requirements on publicly traded companies. Race and sex quotas have no place in corporate boardrooms. Which is true. DEI yucky, get it the fuck out. True and real. Though corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are broadly supported by the American public, fucking X, dude, especially younger Americans, I'm gonna say that study is probably smudged, but yes, that's what they claim. They face growing scrutiny in the courts and in state houses across the country as conservative foundations, think tanks, and political operatives push back against diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in corporate America. The effort to foster greater diversity on corporate boards is facing other challenges. A multi-state probe is investigating whether the NASDAQ has run afoul of anti-discrimination laws. Given NASDAQ's zealous desire to impose quotas on companies, several of which are headquartered in our states, we're interested in learning what policies NASDAQ has in place to ensure its listed companies are following federal and state anti-discrimination laws. The attorneys general of 22 states wrote in a joint letter released in October. The court ruling is the latest setback for DEI, which is facing growing legal challenges. After the murder of George Floyd in 2020, Saint Floyd of the fentanyl, in his name we praise, faced a historic reckoning with race in America. Businesses pledged to make their workforces and their leadership better reflect the communities they serve. Under pressure from investors and regulators, they shuffled their slate of corporate directors to add more black executives and women to the lineup. California passed laws requiring publicly traded companies headquartered in the state to add women and people from underrepresented groups to their boards of directors or face hefty fines. We also talked about this on stream when it happened. The laws were effective in boosting diversity on boards, but were struck down in the courts. No, the laws were effective in boosting diversity. Well, if they made laws where you had to add black people and women, of course they were effective. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Employees of color are underrepresented at every level of power in corporate America, according to USA Today data investigations. One analysis in 2023 found that white men account for 7 in 10 executive officers in the nation's largest companies. About 1 in 7 of those companies had executive teams made up only of white men. DEI critics allege that women and people of color are being handed jobs and promotions at the expense of more qualified and deserving candidates. Well, I mean, directly from the mouths of these people, we know that that's the case. On the campaign trail, President-elect Donald Trump promoted the idea that white Americans were the targets of racism and made reversing Joe Biden's woke takeover of Washington a priority of his second term in office. And I really hope he can figure out a way to somehow root out this shit from government and education. It's going to take quite a lot to do so, but removing all of these Marxists from education and government is going to be a huge fucking step in how we as regular people can help root it out of corporate and entertainment. Proponents say DEI programs are critical to level the playing field for people of color and women. Yeah, that's true. Definitely need DEI programs to hire unqualified people, because otherwise, them blacks and them women's just can't compete with white men. They're just not good enough to do it. We need to give them some freebies, man. JP Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon and other business leaders have repeatedly stressed that diversity is good for business. Previously, a 3-judge panel of the Fifth Circuit upheld the SEC's approval of the NASDAQ rules in 2021, finding that regulator acted within its authority. But the full court decided to take up the matter. All 9 judges in the majority were appointed by Republican presidents, including the ruling's author, U.S. Circuit Court Judge Andrew Oldham, who was appointed by President-elect Donald Trump in his first term. Any more leveled, and it's gonna be a fucking cliff. Yeah, the soft bigotry of low expectations. But I really wanted to highlight these articles specifically because I think it's actually good to point out when we are making wins. Not fake wins like Robbie Starbuck claims, but real wins that have tangible solutions and realistic things that you can see with your own 2 eyes that aren't just changing the language. Which 22 states wrote the letter? Are they mentioned? Let me see. Fuck you, website. Let me see if I can click, if there's a clicky thingy. 22. Attorney generals of 22 states wrote a joint letter. It doesn't say who the 22 states are. I think we might have gone over the letter before, but I can't remember. Joining Carr in filing the brief are the attorneys general of Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Hawaii, Idaho, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. So there are the 22 states attorney generals who have filed the letter. You know, what AGs are these? You can donate to their re-election. True and real. Yeah, Rhode Island, Idaho, Idaho. I was really excited when I saw so many M names, but unfortunately Massachusetts not in there. They're still too cucked. Still too cucked. Based Maine though. Hopefully New Hampshire will sign on. Surprisingly not entirely red. Yeah, very surprising. Minnesota doing something useful. To be fair, Minnesota's basically had their entire fucking state destroyed since George Floyd, so that doesn't exactly surprise me. Shocked at Colorado, right? Rhode Island is disproportionately blue. Oh, I guess they just don't want the DEI nonsense. That's very interesting. Yeah, Connecticut's a very surprising one in there, I will say. Connecticut, very surprising. Hawaii also surprising, actually, now that I think about it, because Hawaii's deep fucking dyed blue. I mean, deep dyed. Maryland and Hawaii are super blue, too. Yeah. Don't buy Colorado. Beth McCann is an absolute piece of shit. Oh, I mean, that's what it says. That's what it says. Maybe if I can open the PDF, it'll, like, show their signatures at the bottom of it, because it showed the signatures when we read the, like, Black Caucus thingamajiggy. Scroll to the bottom. Scroll to the bottom. Respectfully submitted for the Attorney General for the state of Colorado. Let's see here. So it says Jeremy Johnston, Steve Marshall of Alabama, Arizona, Chris Mays, Connecticut, William Tong, Delaware, Kathy Jennings, Florida, Ashley Moody, Georgia, Chris Carr, Executive Director for the State of Hawaii Office of Consumer Protection, Mana Moriarty, Idaho, Raul Labrador, Maine, Aaron M. Frey, Maryland, Anthony G. Brown, Attorney General for the State of Michigan, Dana Nessel, Minnesota, Keith Ellison, North Dakota, Drew Wrigley, Ohio, Dave Yost, Oklahoma, Gentner Drummond, Pennsylvania, Michelle A. Henry, Rhode Island, Peter Norona, South Dakota, Marty Jackley, Virginia, Jason Miares, Wisconsin, Josh Cowell, and Wyoming, Bridget Hill. Yeah, Ron. Starfeeder, thank you for the 2. As a Connecticutian, we are a highway with trees and cities. Yeah, Connecticut's how I drive through to get back home, you know? Norona's a huge grifter. You didn't hear Colorado unless you're dead? Colorado is up here. It's in alphabetical order. Connecticut, Arizona, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida. Maybe they signed on after. Colorado. States of... It says Colorado here. Brief of Amici curate the Colorado Department of Law and 21 other states in common interest. Arizona, Colorado. The Attorney General for Colorado, Jeremy Johnston. Yeah, he was the first one I read. He was the first. So I guess this is like he wrote it, I guess, because the rest of them are all in alphabetical order. Up on you. There it is, new guy. The Shadow Cyber Demon, they give 5 Canadians. Hawaii makes sense because the people pushing DEI BS are buying up properties and land, screwing over the natives. Maybe. Colorado wrote it, so he was first. That's what I was trying to say, but my brain turned into soup in real time. And I'll post the article link in chat so you guys can look at the PDF yourself if you so desire of all the attorney generals here. Adina, Iowa Department of Justice, Office of the Attorney General, Des Moines. Ah, okay. I don't know why I couldn't find this. Thank you, Zentropy. Alright, Zentropy gave the correct PDF link. This is another PDF. I'm gonna spam this in the chat. This is another PDF that pertains to the NASDAQ thing specifically here. Dina T. Friedman, Office of the Attorney General. Is there a date on this? Is there a date? When one member of the effective duopoly of listing companies in the United States embraces a policy that may conflict with both state and federal anti-discrimination laws, law enforcement notices. We, the Attorney General of Iowa, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kansas, Idaho, Indiana, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming, right to inquire about NASDAQ's commitment to ensuring federal and state anti-discrimination laws are followed. So I guess New Hampshire did eventually sign on. Hell yeah. And then it recaps what we read in that article. And then down here we have Attorney General of Iowa, Brenna Bird. Attorney General of Alabama, Steve Marshall. Louisiana, Liz Murrell. Mississippi, Lynn Fitch. Arkansas, Tim Griffin. Florida, Ashley Moody. Missouri, Andrew T. Bailey. Georgia, Chris Carr. Montana, Austin Knudsen. Idaho, Raul Labrador. Nebraska, Mike Hilgers. New Hampshire, John Fomella. Indiana, Todd Rokita. Kansas, Chris Kobach. Ohio, Dave Yost. Oklahoma, Gentner Drummond. Sorry, his name broke me. Virginia, Jason Miarez. South Carolina, Alan Wilson. West Virginia, Patrick Morrissey. Texas, Ken Paxton. Wyoming, Bridget Hill. And Utah, Sean Reyes. Indiana's there. Woo! Bridget Hill has some nice handwriting. She does. That's really nice. I like her B's. Missouri, AG, and you have something in common. Our signatures are similar. They believe in positive discrimination, though? I doubt it. I doubt it. So I'm glad to see more of these attorney generals paying attention. More of these based attorney generals, as it were. So now you guys have the TikTok letter and the NASDAQ DEI PDF. You have both of them to support the based AGs.